Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Safari Mack special, where I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, today, folks, for starters, I hope you all have enjoyed part one of the Grizzly Bear. But if you haven't seen that one yet, do yourself a favor: stop this video right now, go watch part one, and then come back. Okay? All right. Well, if you are just joining me from part one of the Grizzly Bear, I said to you all how in that episode there was one important aspect that I didn't seem to cover, and that would be hibernation. Yeah, I know. I just thought I would get a little more creative and be a little more fun. Hey, if there are any SpongeBob fans out there, leave a comment SpongeBob in the comment section below. But anyway, you might think that hibernation is just about going to sleep for the entire winter, as Sandy Cheeks does in the episode The Survival of the Idiots. But it's actually a lot more complicated than that. She actually even showcased a little behavior that's common for animals that hibernate. But today we're going to look into this Safari Mack special and see exactly how this whole amazing phenomenon really works. But as always, if you're new to my channel, hit that like and subscribe button, check out my Facebook page, and if you have a question or if there's an animal that you want me to do in the future, all you gotta do is just send me an email, which you will always find the link to down in my description below. But if you're ready, I'm ready. And before we begin, I would like to just give you a heads up that all the information that you're going to hear today, I would like to give a big shout out to lionstigersandbears.org or a Big Cat and Exotic Animal Rescue by the San Diego Animal Sanctuary. So to them, you have my ultimate thanks, and let's just hop right into it. For starters, where do we start? Let's go back to the season of summer. In Alaska or where else you would find bears, whether it's grizzlies or black bears, bears all over are suddenly caught in a major phenomenon in their head where they go through a phase called hyperphagia. But what is hyperphagia? Basically, it's when bears and other animals eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat as much as they can. You would think that you could never be full, right? Even if they're stuffed, even if they're just, I can't even eat another bite. Nope, they've still got to keep eating and eating and eating. But it's not a disorder. No. See, they got to go from looking like this to more like this. And believe you and me, this is not photoshopped. This is a real picture of a really fat bear. And why is all that? It's because pretty soon, as the cold weather begins to settle and the days begin to turn darker, for the animals all around, it signals the return of winter. And so with that, they have to find a small space or crawl into somewhere and get ready for a very long major event. Biologists have actually even confirmed that there's even an observation made by biologists where they've seen that the more fat storage that they have, the better off they'll be to get through the winter. Now, we're going into the den. But what's happening to me? Well, for starters, as they begin to hibernate, their metabolism just really slows down. Their heartbeats slow down to a few beats at a time, or lessened than what you might think or what might be critical. It's okay. They're fine. But they're slowing down everything. Their body temperature is even dropping from maybe what would be 100 degrees in their system, possibly down to 88 degrees. In fact, other animals with hibernate, some of them, their body temperature could drop to below freezing. One specific animal, like the chipmunk, is known to have the lowest body temperature of any living mammal when they're hibernating. But in this state of seeming like torpor, or in a state of limbo, all their body is just conserving as much fat and energy as possible just to keeping them alive. They're not eating, they're not drinking, they're not even going to the bathroom. No, they don't go to the bathroom. It sounds gross. In fact, there's a funny line from 20th Century Fox's sequel film, Dr. Dolittle 2, where the good doctor is helping a bear named Archie learn how to survive. The character Archie actually says, "So you want me to go to sleep? You want me to go to sleep all winter with a cork in my butt?" In a sense, yeah, because this is going to sound gross, but even their waste is somewhat being reabsorbed into their system just to keep them alive. It's gross, I know. But there's more to that than just with that. This is going to be their situation for the next 5 months, sometimes even 6 months, depending on where you live. But there's a special instance occurs during this, especially for females. They become mothers. During hibernation, they'll give birth to anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 cubs, sometimes 4. And during this time, they are born completely blind, helpless, and mom is being as very tender and very careful as possible so as not to hurt her cubs and to keep themselves comfortable. But you can imagine after a while, it probably really stinks in there. All of a sudden, whoop! Time to wake up. As spring begins to come and the snow begins to go away and the ice breaks and other animals wake up, their metabolism sparks back to life, and it's time once again to get back out there and to find food, because they have literally used up as much of their bodies of their fat as possible. So they're going to look very painfully thin and even emaciated. That's just a condition where it looks like they're all skin and bones. But it's okay. I mean, and they are a little bit dizzy, especially in Yellowstone National Park. Biologists have actually seen bears acting a little groggy, but it's all okay. As they get food back into their system, they'll start to perk back up again. Now, as you probably have guessed, there are other animals that hibernate as well. These include bats, poor-will bird, groundhogs, snakes, bees, insects, some turtles, even a lemur is known to hibernate, believe it or not. Now, so far, bear hibernation is a pretty amazing phenomenon, but it seems that today, with today's changing world, it may not be that way forever, unfortunately. Climate change is affecting, it's not really affecting where they'll be able to find, it's not really about whether they need to go into hibernation. It's about what happens during and even after hibernation. See, with the plants seemingly becoming a little bit warmer, certain plants, like certain berry bushes that they're used to finding that help help them put on a little bit of pounds again, as well as spark up their energy, that seems to not be occurring anymore, as those plants, the cold time that they need seems to be getting less and less. So unfortunately, some food sources are beginning to somewhat disappear for bears. And although bears are smart enough to adapt to find new ways to feed themselves, it's becoming a little bit more and more difficult. So that's why we have to do our part to try and slow down climate change as much as possible if we want these creatures to stay alive for the next 100 years or even longer. So thank you all for joining me on this Safari Mack special, and be sure to join me next week for part 2 of the American Grizzly Bear. But until then, this is Safari Mack, and I'll see you all out there.